And now I'm going to turn off my contour surface and switch to my duplicate layer, except that I'm going to rename this duplicate layer into contour lines flattened. And this is where we're going to use the tools, the architect tools. So I'm going to open this and do Command or Control A to select all of these. And if you've installed the architect toolbox, you'll see that we have under plugins architect tools, we want to use flatten selection, and that's going to drop this down onto a plane. Boom. That's pretty astounding. It saves us a heck of a lot of work. Now we're almost ready to go, except that, take a look at the lines here. This is ridiculous. This is not a natural kind of thing. This is an approximation to the curve, and kind of a bad approximation in a lot of regards. So what I want you to do is redraw these things so you get nice lines. And this is where the Bezier Curve tool comes in to help us out. So let's start up the top here. Again, I'm going to be drawing on layer 0, and these contour lines are already a group, so I'm just going to use them to snap onto. And a Bezier Curve it's editable. It's not just segments. If I go into this group, you can see each one of these lines is a separate segment. And so editing that is really annoying, very time consuming. So under your draw tools, you'll have Bezier Curve. And Bezier Curve is a mathematical curve. It has a description of a start point, an end point, and radii of curvature. You can see down at the bottom it says degree of curve 3, and you can use either 3 or 4. That's going to change the number of points that you put in. Usually 3 is enough. And you'll see it automatically will snap to points, so I want to grab that end point and then grab the other end point, and then we start to drag. We do 2 more points, and that creates our curve. And so I'm going to do this for several of these. Now some of these change direction. Like this one is going to take 2 segments, so I'm going to go here, and that's one segment, and then the other segment starts at the end of the previous one and goes to the end of that line, and this one is pretty easy. And we can keep on drawing like this. And you can see this is going to be much easier than if we were to do this clicking multiple points. Do a couple more of these. And so what we're going to get is a nice smooth line. Okay, now this one I'm off on, and I'll show you the good reason to have the Bezier Curve, because I'm going to edit that when I come back. So I'm just going to leave that for now, but fix it later. Sometimes you have to zoom way in so you don't snap to something that you don't want to snap to. And this curve is really kind of jagged, so we'll just approximate that. And we'll do one more here. So again, I'm having to do a couple of curves because of the change in curvature from downward to upward. If it's all one direction, then you don't need to do this. Alright, and then just push the space bar and we're done. And so now we can see these things are objects that are one single object. And not only that, like this one here, this is the one that I want to modify because it's not quite as close as I'd like it to be. if I click on this, right click and say Edit Bezier Curve, I go back and I've got those control points again. So I can grab this and pull that out. And I can grab that and pull that back. Now you got to be careful, because if you grab along the line, what you're going to do is actually move the line. You see, like that. I don't want that, so undo that. You want to get that vertex. Oh, I didn't like that, so I'm going to have to go into the end here and pull that end up. And that looks pretty good. So right click and then say done, and then I'm done. So I would want to go through and do all these contours here. And this is a very big site model. Again, I just wanted to exaggerate it just to show you. You probably won't have this much variation or this many lines, but it's still a heck of a lot easier than what you might want to do. And you'll get something that's much smoother. So if I turn off those flattened contour lines, you see I've got nice curvy lines. And so what we'll have is much more close to the actual curvature. And that looks pretty good, so we'll stop there. Now if I turn off the flattened lines, you see I have a nice smooth curve. And that's going to be a much better representation on your model. And it's easier to edit. So this step take a little while, but you'll get a much better result. So back up here, and these are our contour lines. And here's what we're going to do next. You can make the model solid, but it gets to be very heavy. Another way to do it is to simply copy over every other one of these. So I'm going to take these lines here, and let's create 2 layers. First layer I'm going to call contours. Let's call it contour cut A, and then contour cut B, and these guys are going to be on the B layer. And then the other ones are going to be on the A layer. And that way, every other one of these you can cut separately, and so you get a stack that you can overlap, because each one of these, draw a line here. So this is going to be a surface. Let's make that a group. Oh, didn't want to get that blue line in the middle there, so undo that. So if these are all on contour line A, I wonder if I got that line again. Let's put that on layer A. I did get it. Okay, so I need to pull that out. Paste it back in place. So that's going to be one, and then we'll do another one. Okay, and that probably didn't close somewhere. Alright, so the problem here is that this is not drawn flat. I snapped onto some points I shouldn't have snapped onto somehow. And the flattened contour lines are in fact flat. If I turn those on, I can't see them. So I don't know how it got snapped onto things that it shouldn't have gotten snapped onto. but that's the problem. And so make sure that when you trace these things that you're actually not going cockeyed. So I'm going to do this again. Let's take a look here and make sure we've got everything. Okay, that curve needs to go, as well as that one. And that one. So let's try drawing this again. Okay, so now how does that look? Okay, that is flat. And so let's see if we can get some surfaces here. Okay, so we have a closed surface. I'm not really sure why that didn't close before. So move that to contour surface B. And here's why we do this. So if I turn on A, oh, that's really wacko. That's why that didn't close. So, okay, so be careful when you do that. Let's go in here and let's extrude this. Remember, this is at a 1 inch is equal to 16 feet. So I'm going to go up 16 feet here. That'll be my contour height. And then do the same thing in this one. And this one then is higher, so I will move this up. And in fact, let's just get rid of this bad contour here. And so we get a stair step. So remember, this is made out of sheets of cardboard, and rather than having this be all solid, since we can't see it, we just have that filled in. And we stack up, we save a lot of material and everything else. So now, if I turn on my terrain model base, this will line up with the base, and these contours actually go up to the top. And now I turn on my contour surface and contour lines. And so this is what we cut out in on the laser cutter, and it looks like this actually aligns with that one. So these are the pieces we cut out in stack, and let's go ahead and paint this back with transparency again so we can see through the model. And there's our terrain model. So good luck with that.